Caitlyn's one of the first champions I ever played, and I still believe she's the easiest ADC to learn. So let's go over why you'd want to play the League of Legends Hot Fuzz. Well, some of the reasons you'd want to play Caitlyn: she does have the highest range in the game, strong laning phase, easy to pick up, fantastic at sieging towers, and a British accent if you're into that. However, there are some cons. She doesn't have as much burst damage as other ADCs. She does fall off in the late game, and even as an ADC, she's not great at shredding tanks. Alright, with that out of the way, let's take a look at those abilities. Her passive is Headshot. After 5 shot, Caitlyn locks in, and her next shot will be a headshot and deal bonus damage. Her Q is... honestly, I really don't know what that thing's supposed to be, but when you do cast it, it will deal damage to anything in a line and deals bonus damage to the first thing hit. Her W is Cupcake Trap. You place down a bear trap with a cupcake on it. When the enemy walks over it, they will be revealed, and Caitlyn can hit them with a headshot from downtown. Her E is Net Thingy. This will fire a net and push Caitlyn in the opposite direction. If the enemy is hit, they will take some damage, but it does give you an opportunity to hit them with that long-range headshot. Her R is Ace in the Hole. This will lock onto the enemy and fire the most down... This will fire a super long-range projectile and deal quite a bit of damage to the target hit. The enemy can have someone stand in front of this to take the damage, so it's best to use this on a solo target to secure that kill. Alright, now let's take a look at those runes. Now, I've been playing Caitlyn for a long time, so we're going to take these AD Quints. Alright, so we want to do Grasp the Undying. No, it's First Strike. Lethal Tempo. Obviously, Fleet. Alright. Honestly, I think it's really fun to just go crazy with the runes. You can go Rav build for that Grasp the Undying Booger Eating. First Strike generally for people that do lethality, but it's still good for her when she's an ADC. Fleet for healing and kiting, or Lethal Tempo for better scaling and damage. They're all good and fun in their own way. However, with a lot of these runes being nerfed recently, I tend to lean towards putting bullets in her gun, but also the pros build her this way, so keep that in mind. Alright, now let's take a look at those items. Now, I think this might shock you, but we're going to build like an ADC. Take Stormbrazer for early damage and kiting. Pick up them boots next. Then go for Gale Force and then just build, you know, like ADC things. Super complicated, I know. Now, she doesn't really have any like combos, like except for maybe one, but we'll just go over that in the gameplay section because there isn't anything that complicated. Now, we did it! We're in the game, and we're going to take this dagger for law enforcement things and these mixed drinks for other law enforcement things. Now let's get into that laning phase. Now you are a huge lane bully, so a mixture of farming and shooting the enemy. If they think it's okay for them to walk up and farm, it's the best way to do it. Now you do want to be a little careful. You don't have the highest burst damage, so even if you hit level 2 first, it might not help. But if you get able to poke the enemy off the wave, then they can't engage on you because they're too low. Also, if you're paired with a poke support, then it's all ogre now because they cannot walk up. You have 2 high range champions and they just cannot farm properly. Now you do always want your range to be your biggest advantage, so no one should be able to walk up without getting shot. Unless you're laning against a level 18 Tristana, you should have the highest range, but I think if you're laning against someone that's 16 levels higher than you, then you have a bigger issue on your hands. However, when you are poking in lane, you don't want to stand too close to the enemy minions or they will aggro you. So just keep a little bit of distance. Now, when you do have your headshot ready, that's when you don't really care. You just want to hit the enemy as soon as possible. Now, since you have the range advantage, you also want to have the bush advantage. So put your traps in the entrances of the bushes, so if the enemy tries to get into them, then you can just get a free headshot. Now, I said she didn't have any combos, but you do have one combo. It's really your just net Q combo. It's just 2 abilities, so E and Q. When you cast your E, you can cast your Q right after, and once you're almost finished with your E, your Q will go off. So they basically go off at the same time. So it's a good way to escape and deal damage to the enemy. You can also do it the opposite way to get closer to the enemy and throw your Q, so keep that in mind. Now, if you are using it to get away and you do hit him with the net, then you also get an easy headshot. And hey, if you have your ult, do that afterwards too. When you are playing Caitlyn lane, sometimes it's just easier to activate your ult just like in the middle of nowhere to just get a good chunk of damage on the enemy laner. That way you have an advantage for any upcoming fight. And honestly, that's all you really do. You just bully, push them in lanes, take towers, take plates. Now let's get into that mid game. Once the tower is down in the bot lane, you want to make sure to rotate up and siege other towers, because that is one of your biggest strengths. With your range, you're able to do this very well, but be careful. You aren't the best duelist, so if someone decides to start working up to you and they're going to try and back you off, just back off, unless you know you have your support or your jungle there. When you do know you're about to take an objective, you want to use your traps to either block off an entrance from the enemy jungle, or you can scatter them around in bushes and keep them hidden so you can just try and catch someone as they try and get there before the fight starts. Just keep good spacing and you can deal a ton of damage in these fights. Honestly, from there it's just rinse and repeat. You just want to be with your support, push lanes, push towers. Just keep your E ready when you need to escape or go over this wall. We did it! We won the game, and if you enjoyed this video, check out the Big Bird Man, and he tries his hand at support. Talk to you later!